Hello, my name is Scott, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the dangers to debating a repeat resolution because the 2022 LD topic for September and October is very similar to a college policy debate topic that was debated about 4 to 5 years ago. I thought that this would be a good start to the season for some of the content that we're going to put out. Obviously, in the next 48 hours or so, we're going to have a topic analysis intro video out, as well as a supplement for traditional debaters in terms of breaking down the topic, the different arguments, what it means, all sorts of things like that. And the person who's going to do the topic lecture was actually one of the best debaters, in my opinion, on that college policy topic. But I thought that this video would be a good start to that, to kind of break down the differences between that topic and this topic, and why we should really be cognizant of the fact that, yes, this topic has been debated before, but there's some dangers to that. So I'm going to break down sort of the background to this resolution and the past resolution. I'm going to give 5 different dangers to repeat resolutions, and then conclude by talking about the value behind knowing that this is a repeat topic and using that to your advantage to exceed and perform well on the upcoming September-October healthcare topic. So, a repeat resolution. How exactly is this topic a repeat resolution? Well, to go there, let's first start with the actual topic. So if we go to the topic, it says, resolved, the United States ought to implement a single-payer universal healthcare system. So this is the topic for September and October for Lincoln Douglas for this year. The reason that I'm calling this a repeat resolution is that this resolution is very similar to a topic that was debated between 4 and 5 years ago in college policy debate. So again, our topic for LD is the United States ought to implement a single-payer universal healthcare system. In college policy debate, they debated in 2017 and 2018, so they have a year-long topic, unlike LD, which has a 2-month topic. They debated a year-long topic that was resolved. The United States federal government should establish national health insurance in the United States. So obviously, these topics aren't actually a repeat of each other. They're very different. Why are we saying this is a repeat topic? Well, first, let's look at these topics juxtaposed to one another. One is saying should implement a type of universal healthcare system. The other is saying national health insurance. So if we look at the difference between these two resolutions, there's obviously a difference between insurance and care. And I think while that is a big difference that is going to make up a lot of core arguments on this topic that are outside of the nature of this video, that the nature of national health insurance sort of being implemented as universal health care is why these topics are so similar. I personally did not debate or coach the college topic, but my understanding is that the most popular AF, and maybe the only topical AF on that college topic, was a single payer universal health insurance type affirmative, and that is why a lot of people are calling this a repeat resolution, or are saying, oh, college debated the same thing. Well, they actually didn't. It was actually really, really different. But when you look at these, you can kind of get why people are making that type of claim. So how are people figuring this out? Why do they know this? Well, the biggest reason is that there is a thing in debate called the wiki. And this has existed for probably about the last 10 years, maybe a little bit before that, not in the way it is right now. But the wiki is an archival system that keeps a lot of evidence that teams have read in debates. So if I debated for a university, after a debate, I would just publicly share all of my evidence on the wiki. And the reason that this is a thing is that in 2017, 2018, when that national health insurance topic was debated, the wiki was very available. So if you are a debater debating the 2022 single-payer universal healthcare system topic, you can go and get every single one of those pieces of evidence, and that's why a lot of people are calling this a repeat topic. So if you don't know anything about what I've just talked about in terms of the wiki, I want to stop real fast and take you there right now. And this is very useful to anybody who has done debate in the past, because the wiki has massively changed over the course of the past week or so and has gotten a massive update. So if you go to the wiki, you will see that it looks like this. First is that it's not going to look like this to start. If you are familiar with debate or not familiar, you are going to have to go to tabroom.com, tabroom.com, and you are going to have to create an account. Your Tabroom account is now what is interfaced with the wiki, and the wiki is now found at opencaselist.com, and I'll link this in the bottom of the video if you can't see it or anything like that, just an easier link to click. So this is how you are going to be able to access the wiki, and if I were debating, I would 100% do this, because you're going to be able to see a lot of arguments that are very similar or the same to the topic that we're debating, but what the problem with that is that there's a lot of danger that comes with that, and that's the purpose of this video. But let's get into how to access that stuff first. So once you log in using your Tabroom account, you will see a screen that looks like this. It'll have 6 big buttons. The dark blue one will be NDT-CEDA. That stands for College Policy Debate. Now, if you were doing high school policy, your wiki would be in the top middle one. If you were looking for the Open Evidence Project for policy debate, it'd be the bottom right-hand one. Obviously, you can navigate this yourself, but this will take you to your specific wiki. For the context of this video, for repeat resolutions, I want to try to find the 2017-2018 College Policy Resolution wiki. So I'm going to click NDT-CEDA, and that's going to bring up the current year. I'm going to go to the top left-hand corner, and I'm going to use the scroll down box and go to 2017, 2018, and then it's going to make me choose the case list, and I'm going to choose NDT-CEDA. You'll see that you're not allowed to make any changes. It's going to say this case list is archived. No changes are allowed in red letters. Obviously, I don't want people going back, modifying these things, people trolling people, all sorts of things like that. So you're not going to be able to change this, but you're going to be able to see, one, on the left-hand side, there's going to be all the different schools that are in college debate so that you can navigate by team that way. You can do it that way. The other way that you can do it is there's a search feature, and you can use the search feature and find any piece of evidence. And shout out, I think the search feature in the wiki update is much better than the one that has been the previous couple years. So I would definitely take advantage of this. But you can also not only use the search feature, but you can search by school. So for instance, if we go to Harvard, I know that Harvard's team read single payer. So if we go to Harvard, again, I'll navigate this again. That was pretty fast. If I go to Harvard, it's going to bring up the list of all of Harvard's teams. I know that this team right here, who had won the Copeland the year before, read single payer the whole year. So if I go to sort out their wiki by AF, you will see in the round report column that they read single payer in every debate on the topic, and you can click this blue button and download every single file, every block, every card, everything that this team read the entire year. Granted, it's not highlighted. There's a lot of other teams that highlight their evidence that also read single payer that you can look at. I think Georgia's one of those teams. There's a couple others. But you can literally take any piece of evidence from the wiki that this team read. So this is one of the best teams in college debate that goes to Harvard. Why wouldn't you just do that? And that's kind of my purpose for this video, rather than just showing you that this stuff exists, because it is kind of a repeat resolution, because this team obviously read single payer in every debate, or almost every debate on the topic. what the danger is to going to the wiki and just saying, okay, someone already did this. I'm not at Harvard. I'm not one of the best debaters in the country. I'm just going to I'm going to steal everything that they did and read it myself. Well, there's a lot of problems behind that, and I want to address sort of 5 main reasons why I would be very careful when I navigate the wiki or stealing people's evidence or looking at evidence from a repeat topic. But I also want to end after those sort of 5 dangers to talking about how this is also very, very, very valuable, and I would definitely start my research here if you haven't already. So the first main danger to a repeat resolution is just you're reading other people's evidence. And I don't mean to sound that mean. I don't mean to pathologize debaters as doing unethical things, but especially taking evidence without looking at the source material, you could get yourself into a situation where you're reading unethical pieces of evidence. The evidence has been miscut. It's been modified without saying it's modified. If you think modification is a thing to begin with, there's all sorts of things like that. And that's not even beginning to talk about things like evidence that's been fabricated or created. There was a incident of couple of years ago where a lot of camps produced a piece of economy impact evidence by an author named Broward. I know that evidence is fake. So you need to be very careful when you look at some of these wikis. Even though they're really good debaters, there might be things that they do that's not okay with what you did or isn't the norms to how debate functions in your region. So you should be very careful when looking at this college resolution from 5 years ago. The second danger to this repeat resolution is 5 years in debate is like 50 years in the real world, and that is especially true given the context of this topic. So in 2017, this was our first major topic that Trump was the president for the entirety of the topic, and Trump not being president now is going to massively change how all of these scenarios were debated. And it's also just going to change all of the off-case positions in this debate or on this resolution. So for instance, when I thought this was going to be the topic, I reached out to a debater who was really successful at this topic, and they were adamant that their evidence was the best and that their negative strategy for single payer was the best on this topic. And I looked at their wiki, and it's the midterms disadvantage, the tax reform politics disadvantage, and the wag the dog DA for Trump. And if you know what those things are, literally none of those things work or apply in 2022. So I think that having the context of just this stuff is old, especially in the context of how it related to a Trump presidency doing healthcare, should change your view and should sort of put the caution lights on for some of the arguments that are said in this debate or on this topic. In the same way that Trump aged that topic in 5 years, my third major danger for this repeat resolution is just how massively COVID has changed the mechanics and internal links and links of this topic. So when I went and looked at this at lots of ACs that were read in college policy debate, all of them, lots of them for single payer have a pandemic's internal link. And that pandemic's internal link just didn't age very well with COVID. Granted, there is one card in a Georgia AC that says that the US is a super spreader. And that was definitely proven true. But I think that there's a lot of different arguments that just COVID really made it so that, old evidence about doctor burnout or vaccines or research or innovation or stopping pandemics and responses that people would make just massively don't work at a link or internal link level when you look at how that evidence is going to interact with a piece of evidence that's been post-dated. So sure, you could take that evidence and read it and it would be better than nothing, but if somebody had done updated work, that evidence is really in trouble because it just doesn't assume the changes that COVID has made to how the healthcare system works. Fourth danger that I would say is going back to these topics. Please be very careful that the college topic was not a single payer topic. Many teams like Harvard or Georgia or lots of other teams read single payer in a lot of different debates, but a lot of teams didn't read single payer at all, the whole topic. So if you just go into the wiki and say, I'm going to click every school and they did something that was really good, well, that could be about something about health insurance that isn't applicable to the single payer topic that we have. So be very cognizant and careful that this topic was health insurance and not health care. And I think that that's a big delineation between the two. The fifth thing that I have, and the final danger, is just, again, things are going to be old. I don't have like a comprehensive title for this one, but I think that this sort of category of things would encompass things like, don't steal disads or advantages about the travel ban or tax reform, or, oh, look, they had the midterms disadvantage. The midterms is coming up again. Well, that midterm scenario is talking about 2018, where we have a completely different senatorial cycle of people that are getting elected and all sorts of things like that. So the way in which the status quo works with the resolution is really important. And I think that the best piece of sort of thought process for this is just lots of teams on this topic read courts arguments or courts AFs or courts DAs that, if we look at those arguments with how they work in 2022, just don't function as well because of link or uniqueness questions like, Roe v. Wade was just overruled. How does that work with all the court capital disads and all the court DAs? How does that work with using the court as an actor in your affirmative on this topic? There's all sorts of things that are very different from that resolution to this resolution. And that's not even counting uniqueness things about the economy or inflation or things like that. So those are the 5 dangers that I have for this topic. Now, it's obviously not all danger. There's obviously some value behind this. So why is it valuable? Why would you go to this stuff? Why did I go to it? The reason is the warrants of the core arguments and the research terms that you use are the same. When you look at the economy, for instance, I think that that's one of the best places that you could go with this, because a lot of the arguments for stocks or insurance or buyout or taxes are going to be the same. So I looked at taxes arguments that were made on this topic, and then I put it into the search feature, and I found a 2022 article from Cato that talked about how that would interact with the current shape of the economy. And I think if we think about using the old resolution that way as a repeat, that it is much more valuable. You can look at things like how federalism scenarios were set in the past, how the state's counterplan functioned on that topic, because it's definitely going to be a thing on this topic, how ACA or Medicare for All interacted with the topic, because those core arguments are probably going to be pretty similar. Theory arguments, the state's counterplan is going to be a thing. Did people say uniform state fiat bad? Maybe that's something that you've never heard about, want to look at, all sorts of different things like that. And I think that there's a lot of other arguments, critiques, etc., that a lot of the warrants, a lot of the things that you're going to be able to say are very similar, and that you're going to be able to get a lot of your research terms, a lot of your core arguments out of there. But you just have to be very, very, very careful to not make a dangerous mistake when it comes to a repeat topic. So hopefully you found this helpful, and we'll have some more videos coming out in the next couple of days, including a really good topic analysis. So hopefully stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.